In an alternate timeline, the Japanese Empire actually built one of the A140 designs, the predecessors of the Yamato, and it became the Izumo. After the war, China received the surviving battleship as reparations and had her refitted in the 1950s with a better loading mechanism and modern scout planes. This ship then became known as the Bajie. Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. This was what I could cook up in my head as the possible reason for the existence of this ship here. Why are we looking at this ship? It's been out for a while, and I usually skip over the sort of event ships, but there were a couple of people actually asking me to look into this because apparently there is a relatively interesting gimmick, so I wanted to check it out, and it fit into the theme, even though I think the ship's currently not part of the Lunar New Year event. Anyway, that's what we're looking at, the Bajie, which obviously didn't exist. Now the Izumo, which this is clearly based on, the Izumo is not a great ship. In fact, the Izumo is a pretty terrible ship. That said, there is a ship that is not quite as terrible as the Tech Tree Izumo, and that's the Black Izumo. And the reason for that is that the Black Izumo gets a rapid reload. So let's compare the two of them. Both of them Tier 9, both of them battleships, but obviously the Bajie is on the Pan-Asian tech tree, whereas the Izumo is on the Japanese one. We have the same rapid reload setup, but instead of the nerfed precise aim that the Black Izumo gets with the Roma treatment, the Bajie gets a scout plane, and this scout plane gives us 12% firing range. Other than that, they're relatively similar. It's for all intents and purposes the same hull and the same maneuverability, and the same guns with a very slight difference. The Bajie's guns actually have an over 15 kilometer base range. That is not bad. Also, somewhere, somebody hasn't told the Chinese that you did not have to remove 150mm secondary turrets in order to fit float planes onto these things. But maybe they're jet float planes and they need a longer launching catapult or something like that. Anyway, she seems to have lost 2 of those, but in return gained a couple of the relatively useless 127mm auto secondaries. Because if you find yourself in auto secondary range in something like the Izumo, you done messed up. The AA is it's about the same, really. I mean, it's a bit better on the large caliber AA due to the fact that these 127mm apparently are dual purpose, but has lost a little bit on the small caliber AA. It's not an AA ship, and it's not gonna win a medal for that. And the concealment is marginally better, but still at 12 kilometers, well, it's a battleship. It's big, you're gonna see it. So, what made this thing special? What's the big deal with this? It's an Izumo. It's a premium Izumo, and as a Tier 9, probably not cheap. Well, let's go through the setup. We get the choice between torpedo damage reduction and slightly improved guns, so the choice is relatively obvious here. Also, as an event ship, the Bajie comes with a perma-camo. So if you're not a fan of having a big head of a pig stuck to the front of your ship, and no, this isn't a Godfather thing or something, you're gonna have to read Journey to the West to understand that one. Yeah, but tough luck, because that's what the ship's looking like. Other than that, the perma-camo is your stock standard battleship camouflage. It's just that you can't replace it with anything else. It's what you're gonna have to live with. And yeah, the rear is a bit empty, which is probably due to because the two secondary gun turrets have been removed, and I don't know if that's the launch hangar for the extreme scout planes that we have, but that's what I'm rolling with. What else? Equipment wise, main battery mod 3, because we don't actually get the precise aim, and obviously propulsion in 2. I have actually built this for concealment. I mean, it's not a great concealment build, but you get what I mean in a second. Because if we're looking at the actual values that we have here, of the main guns, we'll see that these main guns, before we launch the scout plane, have an almost 16-kilometer range. That is not bad at all. In fact, if once you've got the scout plane up, that thing has a pretty darn long range. And she needs to, because at the end of the day, it's an Izumo. And Izumos struggle to survive in when they're top tier. So yeah, I have done the usual thing with an epic commander this time, because this one gets the APCS plus skill, and the guns on the Izumo aren't great. They're effectively the Amagi's guns, but at tier 9, and you got one fewer. So getting the APCS plus shell in here was something that I was quite keen on. Other than that, really, the only skill that you really care about is the master reloader, and you probably do want to have an additional rapid reload. So no improved repair party for you, unless you choose to do that, but that kind of defeats almost half the purpose of the ship. So after that relatively quick and brief introduction, because really there's not much else to say about the thing, it's an Izumo for all intents and purposes with a rapid reload and a longer range, so it's technically a different flavor of a black Izumo. We'll call her the red Izumo. How about that one? Let's get into some gameplay. And given that you cannot even remove the camouflage, I am in fact just playing with a fully maxed out setup. So both games are going to be with premium consumables and an APCS Plus commander, so this is as good as it gets. First game, we are bottom tier, but the only tier 10 in the enemy team is the bot Monty, so it's not that bad. We are, however, facing Essex and Delaware, so a couple more planes out there. Iowa, Missouri, Baltimore, and this one destroyer with the Izumo. Now this is center control on Cage. Just like in the regular Izumo, you really do not want to be anywhere near the middle, especially in the onset of the game. As tempting as it might be with the Nelson-esque forward layout, but the ship is just really poorly armored and a very big target, and she needs to make use of her range. There's really no good reason to be close up. Even if you have a rapid reload, you want to stay at range. So I do have a cruiser with me here. It's a Des Moines, which is very much appreciated, which means I am effectively immune to airplanes. So I am going to follow that Des Moines, see if the carrier can spot something, and then see if we can make good use of our almost, once we've got the scout plane up, 16-kilometer range. And there's our first customer. There's the bot Monty, and there's a battleship back there. I'm never going to hit the Izumo from over here, but I might be able to hit whatever that is. We haven't even... Might be the Delaware, is it? Not sure, but oh wow, the Izumo just got obliterated. So I got a couple shots out at extreme range. One hit wasn't too great, but there comes the enemy Baltimore. So we don't need the range for that, but we can use the rapid reload to get our guns reloaded on the quick and make use of that fully broadsiding Baltimore. And that wasn't terrible, it could have been better, but I think seeing a Des Moines and what is for all intents and purposes a black Izumo coming his way, the Baltimore has decided that no, he does not want to be here and he would rather be elsewhere. So another salvo out, assuming that he is going to come in, and then we're going to have to deal with the bot Monty, because obviously the bot Monty isn't going to stop, but that was a nice hit on the Baltimore, and he should be away by now. Now you see the awesome secondary firepower of the red Izumo, which consists of one turret. Can we catch the Baltimore? Maybe in the turn. I'm going to give it a shot just in case he does a full turn. But now we really need to do with the Monty, because that Monty might have the armor piercing loaded and can one-shot the Des Moines at this range. So I do need to push forward here and try and take that thing on. Des Moines does the right thing. Stays bow in, and we will try to... oh well, yeah. Dispersion said, "Nope, you're not." we shot one turret off, and that could have been a lot worse for the Des Moines. But he's not stupid. He stays bow in, and we've dealt with the thing. The Baltimore is still alive, but we're starting to box in the enemy team, and we're actually holding the capture circle, which is great. So I'm again try to get some sneaky shots off at the Baltimore, and then make my way into, into the capture circle. I'm in range of everything, so I don't really need to go into the capture circle. Really? I missed the Baltimore? I'm not sure how. Friendly Bajie has been extremely aggressive and has paid for it, because no, you're not in a brawler, you're in an Izumo. And you have even less secondary firepower than the actual Izumo, so don't do it. There's really no reason to get up close with this thing. You just want to stay at long range and make yourself useful. There's that Delaware over there. A couple shots out at that thing. And there's the Baltimore again. Now we are even on kills and we're behind on points, so I can't be too aggressive. But there are a couple of ships that are very, very low on hit points, so we'll try to finish them off. Let's see if we can catch the Baltimore and finish him off, because I don't know if he knows how much range I have. There comes a Tech Tree Izumo. Yeah, you go. Oh, come on. Really? He turned. That's unfair. There's the enemy carrier. And as you can see, I have a 17.6 kilometer range. Now, you can do some fancy things with that. Like, for example, shoot the carrier who thinks he's completely safe back there. Surprise, you're not. Hello, Mr. Essex. Yeah, so you can literally shoot things at the other end of the map when you have the scout planes up. That thing is quite hilarious in that regard. But I would like to get that Delaware killed. See, I think he is in a turn. Let's see if we can get him down. Oh, he survives. Okay, we'll get a couple more shots at the Essex then. But the enemy team has been driven into a corner. It is in a crossfire and is under constant attack. So they're very much not going to do an awful lot about this. Let's finish off the Essex. And there she goes. Okay, Essex done for. And then we can wipe out the Delaware and the Missouri. Not an awful lot left of the enemy team at this point, and we have won this one quite comprehensively. So that's kind of what you want to do, and that should be the end of the Delaware, if I have anything to say about it, and I do. Which means we can use the last rapid reload to try and get some shots off at Missouri. Unfortunately, I can't get these. I don't have the scout planes up right now, so I'm not exactly sure where he's going. But we'll fire at max range and see if we can still catch him. But yeah, that's sort of what you want to do in this ship. And we can still catch him, but he survives on a sliver. And no, Izumo does not have range. He's gonna die anyway. Yeah, that's kind of what you want to do in this ship. Stay at extreme range. And make yourself useful with long-range artillery fire, and you can do okay in that regard. Just like with the black Izumo, the big difference here with the red Izumo is that thing can get a relatively ridiculous range. So if you pair that with a carrier, by the way, or something similar, you could attempt to do things like spot the enemy carrier early, get the scout plane up, and start unloading at it. Shenanigans like that, but the AA is not great on these ships, so it might not be the best pairing in the world, but you could try. In the second round, we are actually top tier, fighting North Carolina, Bismarck, Amagi, Enegir, Yugumo, and Kagero. You see, the thing with, just like with the black Izumo, is that, well, the Izumo is a terrible ship. The black Izumo is an okay ship. She's not a great ship. She really needs to be able to do her thing. And the Bajie is exactly the same thing. She needs to be able to do her thing, which is be at long range and unload at large immovable targets. So shooting at cruisers at long range isn't going to work particularly well. I do have a Baltimore here with me, but it is a bot carrier, so it's not a huge threat. Positioning here is going to be key, so I'm going to be staying around the right flank and just be back row artillery. Which means you have to rely on your team to do things like capture control, dealing with destroyers, and all kinds of stuff like that. You're very much a one-trick pony, and the one trick that this pony has is shooting at enemy ships, at enemy battleships and carriers at extreme ranges. Everything else the thing isn't very good at. Now, we do have 3 battleships in the game, so we can make ourselves useful in that regard, but I really don't want to get anywhere near D-Cup, because there are 2 destroyers on the enemy team, and there's no way I'm going there. So I'm waiting for Kitakaze over there to try and spot me something. And we'll see if I can get in range of something to shoot at. And no, not the Yugumo, but there are 2 of the 3 battleships over there. Well, not want to shoot the Izumo, so we'll just get a lock on to whatever battleship that is. Shots out. And I may have slightly overestimated the speed of that thing. Okay, that is a Bismarck. Yeah, that was a bit... that was a bit too long, but we get the rapid reload up, so we get a second salvo out while we still have range at this thing, and give some fire support to the team. Nobody's Cap D, so at least no destroyer over there, and that was marginally better. We've hit the tail end of the Bismarck, but there is a battleship coming down the flank here, and there's also the Aegir, and there's the Kagero, so there will be torpedoes in the water. Rapid reload timed to get shots out at the Aegir at this range. And sort of the problem that you're going to start seeing is that the guns can struggle a little to penetrate at the extreme ranges. Now this isn't extreme range, this is just 12 kilometers, but yeah, obvious torpedoes are obvious. Reverse, just in case Kagero is sending anything out. But I do have a cruiser here with me, so if Aegir wants to get into a long-range duel, he is still just a cruiser, even though he's a German supercruiser. But Shimanto, there's a Kagero over there, right? Like somewhere in decap. He just capped. You've seen him. He was spotted. So you be careful, all right? There's a Kagero out there. I'm in no position to help you with that. I'm just going to keep the Aegir under fire at long range, but the Aegir is now unspotted. Shimanto, there's a Kagero. Not the Amagi. Okay, the Amagi's coming. There's a Kagero. He was last spotted in the capture circle. He's going to be somewhere around here, lurking, out of detection range. Yeah, I'd be rather careful with this because there's a Kagero out here somewhere. Yeah, there he is. Now, do you have the torpedoes ready? No, you didn't. Okay. That is the right flank, and that means I'm completely dead, because my cruiser has decided to commit suicide by Kagero, which means all I can do at this point is reverse the ship, try to do as much damage as I can to the Amagi, while the Kagero is reloading, and then the Kagero is going to kill me. But there's absolutely nothing I can do about that, because, yeah, unless the Kagero is a complete idiot, which he has already proven not to be, I am still going to just be wailing at the Amagi and trying to survive as long as possible and do as much damage as I can. There's also the Aegir coming behind me, so with my team firmly concentrated on the other side of the map, I think it's more of a race between the Amagi and the Aegir going trying to kill me, and the Kagero getting his torpedoes reloaded. But yeah, you're in an Izumo. You are not in something that can actually take any kind of damage. Alright, who's going to get the kill? My bet's on Amagi, and yep, it's Amagi. So, there you go. That was that, and that was the end of it. And I appear to still have set a fire, which is nice, but yeah, you cannot win a duel against an Amagi in this thing. Kitakaze is about to blap the North Carolina into the next map. And my team is still, the Baltimore and the Bismarck and the two destroyers, is still extremely concentrated on the left flank. So you see, this is sort of the problem that you're having with an Izumo style ship, right? You're good at one thing, but one thing only. So if your team isn't playing ball, yeah, nothing's happening. Anyway, let's observe the rest of this battle, because obviously the friendly carrier has been taken out. The enemy carrier is going to go down, and with 3 caps to 1. So we should be getting a bit more of a points income. The question is, how much can that Aegir, Amagi, Kagero still do, while my team is at the other end of the map mopping up the enemy carrier in a 4 versus 1. We've got a minute 30 left, but with the enemy carrier down, and we're now equal on caps, the Aegir is not going to get into A cap in time. We should have the cap advantage. So the enemy team needs to kill somebody. And the Aegir is a little brave here, going up against the whole of the enemy team, and he knows that he needs to do something. Kagero has dropped torpedoes at long range, but and is shooting at the Kitakaze. Kitakaze has managed to avoid the Aegir's torpedoes. So the only chance for the enemy team to still win this is if the Aegir was going in against the destroyers, and managed to take down, for example, the Kitakaze. But the Aegir is shooting at the almost full health Bismarck, probably much to the relief of our friendly destroyers. Kitakaze has wisely smoked up, and Kagero is not going to get another torpedo salvo off, and Baltimore is hunting anyway. Amagi is probably on too low health to do much at this point. And at least he is shooting at the lightning, as he should, because getting a destroyer kill is the only thing that's going to win them the game. But if the Aegir is going down, and he is, then that is game. And we have won this, despite the Kagero's best attempts, because I don't think he's going to get the torpedoes away to get another kill. And even if he did, with the Aegir down, there's no way that they're going to win that on points. And we have the game, despite the best efforts of my team in the other direction. So yeah, Bajie, is that ship recommended? Well, it's not great. It's a decent ship, just like the Black Izumo is a decent ship. It's a bit of a one-trick pony. It really is a long-range artillery ship. She can do okay in that role, and if you can manage to get some snipes off at some of the more squishy large targets like carriers or like the American hybrid battleships, she can do a decent amount of damage. But it's definitely not a multi-role ship, and it's not as bad as the Tech Tree Izumo. Very few things are, but it's not a grand ship either. So if you get it on a bargain, you know what you're in for, and if you don't mind the camo, then that's all good by me. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thanks everybody, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.